Hey, what's up everyone? My name is Trent. This is Rams Talk. Yes, we are here, Rivalry week against the 49ers. Thank you for tuning in. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. For all the new subscribers and legacy subscribers and everyone in between, thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of the community. I love you all. And I love today, TGIF, everyone. Thank God it's Friday. Thank God this video is here. We're talking Rams. Thank God I'm collaborating with the San Francisco version of myself, Nothing But Niners, Nick and Mike. Today, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, right here on my channel. They were going to switch it up and stream on their channel as well. They are good guys. This is kind of the weirdest thing, everyone. You know, you're just, as a Rams fan, you grow up and you're groomed to hate the 49ers, and that's okay. That is okay. When people say, you know, hate is such a strong word, yeah, it's such a strong feeling that I have against the 49ers. I hate them, but a lot of their fans are cool, just like these guys. So let's just keep it respectful in the comments with the 49er fans, but still hate the 49ers as a team and as an organization. That's totally okay. And for all you young guns out there that have just gotten on the Rams train in the last couple of years since they've been back in LA, if you think the Rams have a bigger rival than the 49ers, I'm just going to stop you right there. You need to recalibrate and you need to pour all your hate against the Niners. Not all of it, but most of it. I mean, the Seahawks, yes, I get it, but we don't have a history with the Seahawks like we do with the Niners. The Patriots, the Saints, I don't know who else would even be in the conversation, really. So this is to me the most exciting and kind of nerve-wracking game of the whole season thus far, and I do feel like the Rams are going to pull it out. So before we get into all that, please reach out to me. Follow me on Instagram at LA Rams Talk and Twitter at Real LA Rams Talk, and also on the Flick Chat app. I download that app. I created a Rams group, and I was actually on there. It's kind of like a Discord, real time during the game. They have stats, like a box score, and you can check all the stuff and message everyone and drop pictures of you and your gear or like whatever, polls, quizzes. So definitely check that out. I'll be on that during the game. Actually, I won't be on that during the game. It'll be 2 o'clock in the morning for me. I'll watch the game on replay. Probably won't sleep. I'll probably just wake up and watch it anyway. So anyways, all this stuff, it's crazy. The Rams and Niners, I guess, all-time record. The Niners have it, 71 to 67 and 3. So they've won 71 times, Rams 67 times, and we've tied 3 times. And I'm pretty sure most of you remember that amazing tie we had, I don't know, back in like 2012 or whenever, when our best players were Greg Zuerlein, Johnny Hekker, and Danny Amendola. And that was an epic tie back then. But for us at that time, that was a huge win. So let's get up to 68 wins against them, beat them again this year, get up to 69 wins, sweep them next year, tie it. I mean, this is we got to be the tortoise here. So this is the long play. So we got to win now, but also we got to elevate all-time series and take that, because I don't like that hanging over our head. So a couple news and notes. Jordan Fuller is out. Huge bummer, IR, but he should be back after 3 games. So this week and 2 more weeks, pretty much after our bye, he'll have 4 weeks off, so that's good. And Obo's out about 4 to 5 weeks with, I think he's having a little elbow procedure, so it's not supposed to be season ending, but and that sucks because Obo was really coming on. I was really digging Obo. He was our highest graded pass rusher as an outside linebacker, edge rusher. So that's a bummer. But silver lining, that means more snaps for Terrell Lewis, who now is back. So that will be cool to see how the Rams kind of do that split with Ebukam and Terrell Lewis and Ja'Kai Polite and Justin Hollins, because it's going to be Leonard Floyd on the other side. But missing Fuller is going to be huge, because you just saw the impact he had against Washington. Granted, it was Washington, so we'll talk about that when we kind of get to that part of the team matchups later down in here. The 49ers, I don't know about today, the Friday injury report, but 2 guys did not practice. Dante Johnson, a cornerback, and Quan Alexander a linebacker. Both of those guys did not practice yesterday, Thursday, so they are trending into the not playing area, which would, Quan Alexander's a linebacker, and he's actually pretty good. Dante Johnson's all right, but not a major loss there. So I have one random thought, and I heard JB Long talk about this, and so I went back and did a little research, but one of the things last year about Jared Goff was not only was he throwing interceptions left and right, but he was fumbling. He was a fumbling machine. And when you look at a lot of things that players individually take ownership of and try and clean up and correct, Jared Goff tried that. And I think he, and obviously talking with the coaches, was thinking about how do I limit my turnovers and my mistakes, and how do I take better care of the ball or get the ball out faster so I'm not just standing there like a statue. So in his first 11 games last year, 2019, he had 10 fumbles and lost 5 of them. Had 5 turnovers out of those 10 fumbles. And also when you fumble it, that's just, you're losing yards. Even if you recover it, you're losing yards. The down is wasted. So first 11 games, 10 fumbles, 5 fumbles lost. His first 11 games. In the 10 games since then, including the last 5 games of last year and first 5 games of this year, 1 fumble, 0 fumbles lost. So Jared Goff is not only doing a great job in limiting turnovers with the interceptions, but he's not fumbling at all. And he has not lost a fumble in his last 10 games. So that's just a really, really good improvement from Jared Goff. And these are little things that you might not think about, but I'm sure also last year the offensive line had a lot to do with that when, the beginning of the season when the offensive line was porous and then they went to more 12 personnel, so we had more protection. But, just a little nugget for y'all right there to think about. Now, I've listened to a lot of San Francisco podcasts and read a lot of their, the stuff on the internet about them. And man, they are freaking out. They're talking about, who can we trade Jimmy G for? Can we trade him for Matt Ryan? Can we trade him for Kirk Cousins? They're talking about, can we get Trevor Lawrence in the draft? And they can't get Trevor Lawrence in the draft because, there's so many crappy teams this year. We still have teams that don't have a win. We have a lot of teams that have 1 win. They have 2 wins. So like right now they'd be picking 14th. So they're not going to get a quarterback in the draft. So it's I know fans are always way more critical, and sky is falling all the time about everything. I mean, Taylor Rapp blows a coverage and it's like he's a bum. So Troy Reader's a bum, but Jimmy G is not as bad as he was last week, but they are freaking out. They don't think that Jimmy G is the long-term solution. There were even questions after the Super Bowl, but it's just kind of funny to see the state that the 49ers fans are in, because granted, I think we're having the season we had last year, San Francisco's having this year. So, and if we beat them this Sunday, then I think that really is the case. So, and speaking of last year, it was also in the 6th game of 2019 that we played against the 49ers. They came to the Coliseum, and that was one of the worst games the Rams played all season. That was the worst game the Rams played all season, bar none. The score was 20-7. Now that first drive, do you remember the first drive? It was like run, end around, jet sweep, run, and Robert Woods ran the ball in for the touchdown, and you're like, oh, yeah, like we're just taking it to him, and that was it. Finito. We didn't score a single touchdown or field goal after that. In fact, we had 157 total yards and 48 net passing yards. That means after sacks. We also had 8 penalties for 59 yards, and we're 0 for 9 on 3rd down conversions. I want to say like 0 for 4 on 4th down conversions. And they had the time of possession battle was 38 minutes for San Fran, 21 minutes for the Rams. So that was also our 3rd loss in a row. So we won our first 3 games. Then we lost to Tampa Bay in that defensive meltdown and Goff interception fiasco. Then we lost to the Seahawks on the last play of the Zerline missed field goal. And then we showed up at the Coliseum and just got waxed by the 49ers. Now that was a completely different 49ers and Rams team, but still same point in the season. And if the Rams beat the 49ers this week, and if we beat them convincingly, which is not a given, but if we happen to do that, then I feel like their season's going to go like our season did last year, but we still had a winning record. I don't know if the 49ers can salvage it because they're just going through the gauntlet of the schedule. So kind of an interesting crossroads that we find ourselves at this year, similar to last year. Now, keys to the game. Kind of interesting. So you have McVay and Shanahan. Most of you guys know when they were at Washington under head coach Jay Gruden, that Kyle Shanahan was the offensive coordinator and Sean McVay was the tight ends coach. So Shanahan was kind of his boss for a couple of years. And their offensive philosophy pretty much is a spitting image of one another. And it very much reminds me of the Michael Jackson song Man in the Mirror, because Sean McVay can look in that mirror and see Kyle Shanahan looking back. Their offensive philosophy is almost married, if you will. So they both love outside zone. The Rams are third in the NFL with 45% of their plays, or their running plays, outside zone, whereas the 49ers are sixth. And 39% of their plays are outside zone. In terms of play action, the Rams are first. The Niners are sixth, and the Rams have 49% of their plays are play action, and the 49ers have 33% of their plays play action. In motion, this is actually the one that the 49ers excel at. They have 73% of their plays, which is sixth in all of football, include some sort of motion, whereas the Rams are eighth with 58% of the plays. So when you watch this game, just notice pretty much on 3/4 of the 49ers offensive possessions, you're going to see some sort of motion in the backfield, whether it's use check or the receivers or the running backs just kind of moving all around, or Kittle. So that's they really have the motion down, but both teams are very close in terms of how much they run motion. And then yards after catch, Garoppolo and Goff are kind of like the kings of the 5-yard throw and the 20-yard run. So the yak yardage for the QBs, the Rams are first with 7.3 yards after the catch, and the Niners are sixth at 6.0. So pretty much they like to do the same things. You can see the numbers here. They're all the Rams and the 49ers are very close in the type of schemes and runs and play action and all these things that they do. So who does it better? Who has the personnel to do it better? Which coach has the better game plan? Because I'm sure we'll see some wrinkles in this, because they both know, what each one is going to do. So it's like, if I know that you know that I know that you know that I know, then I got to do something that you don't know that I know you know. Make sense? So that's where they're at. The other key to this game is getting after Jimmy G and stopping the run game. Duh, right? Of course, that's like everything. But the Rams, by Pro Football Focus, just had a team defense ranking, and the Rams rated fourth in team defense, which is no surprise. They've been absolutely crushing it. They're tied for first in the amount of sacks with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And speaking of sacks, our boy AD, he's going to Levi Stadium, and the San Francisco O-line, they allowed 5 sacks last week and 8 QB hits to the Miami Dolphins, who do not have a formidable pass rush, right? And it's interesting because I look at the San Francisco O-line on Pro Football Focus, and they don't grade terribly. There isn't anyone that has a Joe Noteboom grade, right? I think their worst graded guy is Brunskill, who's 46th, but Trent Williams is top 5. Their center is 8th, Laken Tomlinson 17th, McGlinchey's 26th. So they're not, on paper, they're not terrible, but they're just giving up tons and tons of pressure and sacks. So they've given up 18 sacks this season already, which is 4th in the NFL, right? That's not what you want to be. That's like the Rams of last year almost. They had 36 all of last year sacks that were allowed, so they're halfway there. But they're actually on pace to have 56 sacks allowed this season, which would be their most since 1996. So enter Mr. Aaron Donaldson, Laken Tomlinson, Aaron Donald, the Incredible Hulk. So he loves feasting on San Francisco, just like Seattle. So he has 11.5 sacks in his last 11 games against San Francisco. He's totaled 43 tackles. 14 of those are tackles for a loss. And he has 8.5 sacks in the last 4 games. So if you just average it out and project going forward, you would think that Aaron Donald would get 2 sacks in this game. And I don't think anyone would really argue with that. So Even if he's not getting sacks, I think it's important that the Rams really bring pressure, bring the hurries, bring the QB hits, the tackles for losses, and ultimately the sacks. And speaking of tackles for losses, the 49ers, you look at their rush yards per game and you see Mostert breaking off all these and their average yards per carry, and it's extremely misleading because the 49ers are ranked 32nd, dead last in the NFL in stuff rate. That means getting hit behind the line of scrimmage. But they are number 1 in the NFL in open field yards. Like you go to, I think it was the Jets game, like first play of the game, Mostert gets a carry, runs 80 yards. Last week, he had a 37-yarder, and I think he had another long gain yard. So essentially, they are hitting home runs or striking out. They're not doing singles and doubles and triples. It's all or nothing. It's very feast or famine with their run game right now. And what the Rams do great defensively, they do not give up the big play. So this is gonna be a big Micah Kiser situation here in the middle, going against the running backs, especially Mostert for the San Francisco 49ers. Mostert last year, 11 rushes, 92 yards, over 8 yards per carry. But like I said, when you have a couple really long runs, but then the rest is crap. I think against the Jets, he had like 92 total yards. One run was for 80 yards. So I think on set he had 7 carries for 12 yards outside of that. So, Mostert's good, but he's super fast. And, the Rams just need to basically, they need to win at the line, the point of attack, and really stuff the run and not allow the explosive plays, which I feel confident in. They don't do that. That's not the Rams this year. So there you go. Then the other big key to the game for me is how does the secondary play out now that Jordan Fuller's not going to be in? And we did win against the Giants, but we didn't fare well in the Bills game after he went down. So and actually no, he wasn't against the Giants. Fuller was out against the Giants. He was in against the Redskins or the Washington football team. So now that he's out, how do we match up? I'm assuming that Ramsey's gonna play everywhere. So, and he'll probably match up against Kittle a lot of the time to leave John Johnson back in the field playing more center field. That would be my guess. And then, but you can rotate him anywhere, and you can even put John Johnson on Kittle sometimes. But I feel like the Ramsey, if you just take Kittle out of the game, that's huge. But he's not going to be running routes every play. He'll be blocking as well. Then you have 2 other guys, at least, Bourne is okay, but it's really Ayuk and Deebo Samuel. So you have Darius Williams, you have Troy Hill, you have Taylor Rapp, and John Johnson. So how I'm just curious to know. I don't know this. Like, how are the players in our secondary going to match up against their wide receivers? So that's going to be super interesting to me to see how that goes. And obviously, you want to see Taylor Rapp have a good game. And we all know how he ddid against in coverage last year in that last Niners game with him and Ramsey, where it was kind of a blown coverage. Also, how they like to do a lot of passes out of the back from the running or to the running backs. So Mostert, especially Jerick McKinnon, you have Jeff Wilson. So there's going to be the Kenny Young show kind of flagging down, and even Micah Kiser shadowing these guys as they leak out of the backfield and catch some passes, because McKinnon is kind of like that dual threat guy more than the other backs are. So that's going to be interesting. Now, flipping to the other side, keeping Jared Goff clean. Now, the 49ers rank 8th in that Pro Football Focus team defense list. But they played some crappy teams, kind of like we have. So they played the Jets, they played the Giants, they played the Dolphins, but the Dolphins really aren't terribly crappy. They are 19th in sacks in pressure. And, it's a big deal when you lose Nick Bosa, when you lose Dee Ford, when you lose DeForest Buckner, Solomon Thomas. Now, DeForest Buckner, they didn't lose him to injury. They traded him for Javon Kinlaw, who's good, but he's not DeForest Buckner's crushing it this season. So, they're basically 4 guys from that defensive line not playing this year that played last year for the 49ers. And they're all good. You know, I mean, they still have Eric Armstead. So, you know, like he's a beast for them right now. But their defensive line they're not applying pressure like they did last year. And last year, what made them special, they were applying pressure and they had Richard Sherman in the back. So, you know, kind of locking down the secondary. So they don't have those guys right now. So keeping Jared Goff clean is key. Now, Goff is 2-1 with 7 touchdowns and 1 interception, completing 68% of his passes for 817 yards at Levi Stadium. So he loves it up there. He's from the Bay Area. He loves it up there. And in his career against the 49ers, he's 3-3 with 12 touchdowns and 3 interceptions and a passer rating of 98.1. So he plays well against the 49ers. And I think he's going to have a big game because their secondary is wiped out. You watched that Dolphins game last week, and they had a cornerback out there from the practice squad, Brian Allen, who got torched, allowed 124 yards, a couple touchdowns, had a couple pass interferences. So they benched, and that was in one half. So they benched him, put Akello Witherspoon in there, who played better. But without Richard Sherman and without Dante Johnson, who's not going to be playing, you know, Emmanuel Mosley is coming back, I think, from a concussion. So that's going to be interesting to see. But I mean, Ryan Fitzpatrick put up 350 yards and 3 touchdowns on them. You know, that's not an elite secondary. So even if you get Mosley back, and I mean, they have freaking Jason Verrett. Jason Verrett's probably played more snaps this year than he has in the last 6 seasons combined. But, you know, when you're counting on Jason Verrett and Emmanuel Mosley to lock down your secondary, that also has Jaquiski Tart, which, if I'm going to be fair, probably is the best name in the NFL, Jaquiski Tart, okay? And Jimmy Ward, who's not playing particularly well this season. So I feel like this is an area for the Rams to exploit for Jared Goff to keep on rolling. And Cooper Kupp's going to be matched up maybe against this guy, Jamar Taylor. I don't know who really their slot coverage guy is, but I think it might be Jamar Taylor. And then, you know, we have Armstead's going to be on the end. That's going to be a big matchup for Havenstein to be guarding Eric Armstead. And he's done well against Chase Young and other edge rushers so far this season. And then our running back by committee. Who's going to be? So I think it's going to be really the Akers-Hendo show. And if for some reason a lot of pressure is coming in, then we're going to get some Malcolm Brown. But I think this is our first real, everyone's healthy, everyone's integrated, we're good to go. So it'll be interesting to see how a running back committee shapes out. Yeah, I mean, that's really kind of it right there. I mean, I feel like the Rams are in a much better place. I think Goff is going to not feel the pressure when he has the time. He's going to pick teams apart. I mean, you know, if they're not applying pressure, then maybe Higbee doesn't have to block as much. Is Gerald Everett going to, you know, stay in beast mode? So just a lot of questions here. I don't take the 49ers lightly. They're still well coached. Listen, offensively, the 49ers have everyone. Like no one's really injured except for Garoppolo and the high ankle sprain, but the skill position guys are there, Kittle's there, the running backs are there, the offensive line is pretty much intact. So offensively, you know, this kind of is the same Niners team. Defensively, that's where they have a lot of the injuries and missing guys. So that's really where the Rams can hopefully pin their ears back in the secondary. And you know, in the 49ers actually have pretty good defensive rating, especially against the run. But, you know, like who have they played? Which running backs have they played? So, you know, they haven't seen an O-line and a host of running backs like the Rams have. So I'm like I said, I predict the Rams to win, but I do not take this game. I'm not saying this is a blowout or the Rams are easily going to win this game, but I do think they're going to win. I think this is going to be similar to what we saw last week, but I'm going to give the 49ers, this is a tough one, probably 16 points, and the Rams will have 31 to 16, right? I hope it's more. I hope the Rams score more and limit them to less. But the Rams defense is just clicking, even with Jordan Fuller. Hopefully they keep going. But anyways, I'm starting to ramble and get off subject. So remember, this morning, 11 a.m. Pacific time, 2 p.m. Eastern time, right here on Rams Talk. Gonna live stream with Nothing But Niners so we can get some, bring your questions. If there are things about the Niners you guys wanna know, ask it in the chat. Put it in these comments to this video. Remember to subscribe if you haven't. Follow me on Instagram at LA Rams Talk or Twitter at Real LA Rams Talk. Find me on the Flick app. And yeah, let's just get pumped for the rivalry week. Okay, guys? So thank you so much for watching. Let's beat those Niners. And as always, go Rams. I could go all day. Can't go all day.